Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're discussing Sunday's Our Lady of Guadalupe feast day and celebrations. We'll be talking about the history and community that celebrates with Christ the King staff members Eren Muniz and the pastor, Father PJ McManus. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the bishop's mind.
Well, hi, Kelly. Good to be with you. And we're pressing forward into Advent and yesterday's feast of St. Juan Diego. So very timely here, kind of in the midst of that kind of 3 days of Juan Diego leading up to Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so not just our Hispanic brothers and sisters, but all of us as citizens of North America. And they really, she's the patroness of the Americas. And so very inspired with that. And I look forward to celebrating with the good people as well. Lots going on. I'll be, even today, the 10th, I'll be at St. Francis of Assisi midday today for a Man Up session. So kind of an ongoing men's group that meets there on different Fridays. And we'll just kind of talk about being Christian men and maybe sharing a little bit of my personal story. And then bold enough to allow them to pose questions to me as well. Also looking forward to consecrating, dedicating the new Intervisions Chapel, the new Iowa Catholic Radio Chapel at the former Intervision site here on the west side. So that's a big day in the life of Iowa Catholic Radio. So we're grateful to them, just as we continue to be grateful to the Sarens and their prayer for vocations and the sponsorship that they have, the ways in which they affirm and build up religious life and priests. We're conscious of the changes in priestly formation that are going to be happening. It's a mouthful of a Greek word, but looking again where men are coming from in our culture, we can't always presume a kind of default of familiarity with the faith. And so what's called a propedeutic year, a kind of a year of spiritual formation and preparation without the whole academic expectations that are normally there. This is something that some dioceses have been doing, but is going to be more broadly applied. And there are seminaries that are adjusting. Of prayer, I think maybe kind of a cleansing from social media and things. A lot of are asked to kind of set aside technology during this time. And whether one is entering as an undergraduate or already has a degree, that's there. And so the different forms of integration and even at the conclusion of that period. So this is a new wrinkle, the dynamism and St. John Paul II's view of human formation, but that's going to have an impact. And again, looking forward to being with men who are considering the priesthood here on the fourth Sunday of Advent at the Jesuit Retreat Center in Griswold too. So Father Ross Parker, our vocation director. And, as I first experienced that 2 years ago, now there are 3 of those men who participated who are now in seminary for the Diocese of Des Moines. So this is a real time of grace and just what a beautiful way to collect ourselves, kind of on the fourth Sunday of Advent and to prepare in that way. And of course, it's the mystery of the Eucharist, which is at the heart of all that we're about. We are in our holy hours at the cathedral, beginning with the season of Advent, and we'll be extending probably for about at least 26 weeks, half a year or so, because this marvelous document that was approved, the mystery of the Eucharist, in the life of the church, I commend it as spiritual reading to everyone. It's 29 pages long, and I think it engages people at different levels, but just that deep sense then that we've been reborn in baptism and our way in which we give thanks to God and all that we're about. How can we repay the Lord for all the good he has done for us? So our manner of giving thanks comes from God. We do so following the command of the Lord. Do this in memory of him. And so this gratitude inspires us now in the Eucharist, nurtured by the beauty that is part of that liturgy as well, and to come before the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, as so many people are doing with ever greater love and ever greater zeal these days. As St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta once said, when you look at the crucifix, you understand how much Jesus loved you then. When you look at the sacred host, you understand how much Jesus loves you now. How much Jesus loves you now. He's looking at us with love, and the body then that we are to build up and be transformative in living our vocation that kind of radiates outward from that encounter with the Lord and the lay vocations of people to transform all of our social relations as we work and look for the common good. To know that we want to not only give time, and as St. John Paul II said, time given to Christ is never time lost, but time gained, so that our relationships in our whole life may become more profoundly human. And, of course, where Jesus is, Mary's close by, as we'll hear in our next segment.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by CTO. What great news for donors to the Catholic Tuition Organization. You now receive 75%. Yes, 75% of your donation back in Iowa tax credits beginning January 1st of this year. Your support has helped thousands of students attend our Catholic schools. Best gift ever. Online, ctoiowa.org. At CTO, the bottom line, it's for the kids and their future.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Marr Security, a Catholic-owned family business providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Marr Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com. Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Mercy One, your expert circle of personalized care for all your health needs. With more care locations than anyone, your best life is their one purpose. Find your doctor at mercy1.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're discussing our Sunday's Our Lady of Guadalupe feast day and celebrations. We'll be talking about the history and the vibrant community that celebrates. Our guests today are Christ the King staff members Eren Muniz and the pastor, Father PJ McManus, who is also the new Vicar for Hispanic Ministry.
Well, grace to have you, Eren and Father PJ McManus. Thank you for making time. I mean, you're very busy parish ministers and about many things. So thank you for being with us here in the midst of kind of ramping up for the big celebrations this weekend with Our Lady of Guadalupe and already celebrating Juan Diego and his kind of catalyzing role that transforms so much. But let's just maybe get a snapshot. You know, when I did the ad limina visit in January 2020 with the Holy Father, it had kind of tried to give a portrait of the Church of Des Moines, the Church of the Diocese in Southwest Iowa, and the dynamics that are, as you know, our people come to us and bring new diversity and new gifts, including our Hispanic, Latino brothers and sisters. Could you just tell us a little bit about the demographics and how that's kind of landing at different parishes?
Sure. So our situation at Christ the King is in many ways, I think, typical of what has happened throughout the diocese. So we are at, on the books, we say 1,750 families. It's probably slightly more than that. In terms of households, there are slightly fewer Hispanic households, but the number of persons per household within the Hispanic community is typically triple or quadruple the number in the Anglos. Yeah. So the parish. So what I typically say is the parish is about 55 or 56% Hispanic, but there's fewer individual families, just more people in each family.
Okay, so civilization of love is taking root and flourishing at Christ the King.
Deep and full.
Yeah, deep and full. So pro-family, and again, those values of family as central, and children as gift, and all of that. That whether one's material means are ample, or whether one is kind of trying to carve out a basic life here in the United States. How you feel like the receptivity and the kind of merging and real true community is happening? Or are there particular challenges that go with that? And Eren, feel free after Father PJ to comment.
Well, I think, Eren, actually, if you talk a little bit about what happens on the weekend of Christ the King Sunday, that might give an indication of what that looks like on the ground.
Sure.
So, Eren, do you have
So we had a nice celebration this weekend. I would say one of the best celebrations, Feast of Christ the King. And I see that we're coming together. There is an integration. It takes time, but I see that for being the second time that we did this celebration, I feel like we have done a good job. And we have had a good response from the community on both sides. And what we did in the celebration to celebrate the Feast of Christ the King, we asked some of the members from our community to bring up flags in a procession from the Mass, and from different cultures, from different, how do you call it? Países, padre.
Yes, countries.
From different countries. different countries. And after we asked them to dress up as their flag from their country. If you're from Mexico, try to dress up with something that represents Mexico. And we also ask that you bring a dish from your country or from your state and share with the community. And I was amazed. We had a lot of people. Then after in the celebration, we had the food, the dances, and the mariachi, and we just had the Filipinos had a special dance as well. And then there was a lot of participation from everyone in the parish. I mean, we still need to do more stuff. We still need to improve, but I believe that this is a good way to start because when I started this right before COVID, we had another big event for the Feast of Christ the King, and on that event we raffle a cow. And I know it's funny. We raffle a cow because my parents donated a cow and we raffled that. And, we said, well, why don't we do this for the feast? So then we made it happen. It was a good turnout. Then COVID came. We couldn't do anything. And then this is the second year that we have done something. And I really got a lot of good, positive comments from the Hispanic community, from the Anglos, the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, from everyone. And I think this is going to become something bigger and a celebration for the church, not just for a ministry. So we're all together in one. And what I have told the community is that Christ, the King, he's the King of the universe. So he is the King of all the countries and everything, So that's why we have decided to do this and represent the flags from our countries. And I feel like this has brought us together. One of so many events that we have done, this one has been like the most hit, I would say, for our parishioners at Christ the King.
Wow, felicidades. That's tremendous. And really kind of a Pentecost. I mean, it's inspiring to bring people together there. Yeah.
Yes, and we posted pictures on Facebook on Eren in Christ the King. And also we had the Mass live at Christ the King page as well. But I am very happy. I am very thankful for the opportunity that Father PJ has given me the green light to start something. And I am so thankful for the Hispanic community that they are willing to help. They are opening up. And I feel like before, as in anything else, you get to a new place and you're still trying to figure out how to do things. Where is your comfort zone? But now I feel like this year I've been feeling like they are actually feeling like this is my home. Christ the King is my home. This is where I belong, and I want to do this. And I feel like they're feeling a lot more like they're free, like to do stuff. And
beautiful. That's beautiful.
They are very active. So I am very happy because they do respond. We had
you describe that, and then we'll just maybe make a little transition here. But I'm picturing the cow. I mean, if I'm going to buy a raffle ticket, do I have to bring a trailer to the festival in case I win? I mean, this isn't a side of beef. This is a live cow, right?
So yes, Bishop.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State Extension. Can you help me out here? I mean,
so I wanted to say that those days when we had the cow, it was a live cow, and the ticket was $20. And I wanted to say that in town, a cow got there was a cow that got away, from someone's home or whatever farm, and it was in Des Moines, and everybody was sending me messages, and they're like, "Is that the cow? Did the cow laugh?"
They presumed it was our cow.
Yeah, they presumed it was our cow. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
We'll transition here. I've got images of cow jumping over the moon here. But Father PJ, you are now the vicar for Hispanic Ministry from the Diocese of Des Moines. Somebody appointed you that position, even though he hasn't written you the letter yet. You're like a vicar san portfolio here. But thank you for agreeing to that. And it's a role that's taking shape as we live it out. But why, the extension of this, and what are the opportunities here, the challenges that come with that role?
I think much of what Eren just talked about by way of example is true across the diocese. One difficulty comes even in language, not English, Spanish, but the language that we use in English or in Spanish to talk about ourselves. Hispanic ministry or Latino ministry, this covers a broad spectrum. Part of the reason we did the flags and clothes in different countries at Christ the King was because we kind of like default and presume that everybody's from Mexico. And it's true that the majority of the Hispanics in the Des Moines area are from Mexico. But in our own parish, just our little parish, 3,000 or 4,000 people, we've got members of the Hispanic community from Mexico and from Guatemala and from Panama and from El Salvador and from Venezuela and Ecuador.
Yes.
We've got at least 9 countries represented just in this one kind of community.
Colombia?
And of course,
no?
the Anglos.
Colombia? No.
I don't know if we have any Colombianos in
no,
Christ the King,
we
but
don't.
we do. But they do at St. Anthony. That one I know for sure, and that's of course just a mile down the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the move. The first move is to just get that Hispanic ministry includes Spanish language servicing, absolutely, and it necessitates it. But it's not simply limited to like people who speak Spanish to each other. And very often internally within the communities, there's another primary language that they speak to each other, and Spanish is just what they use for larger
dialect
groups. And yeah, right. And so this is a really important piece of what I think we're trying to do is it's not simply a question of integration. Integration can never be a question of simply flattening identity. It's rather finding better ways of being ourselves together. And I think in important ways, that's what Our Lady of Guadalupe does. It's the reason she's attractive not only to Mexicans, but to people from all over the Americas, why she is truly Our Lady of the Americas, North and South and Central America, because the hymn we say on the day, right? Somos Guadalupanos. Like we're all Guadalupanos. We all belong to her, and because we all belong to her, because we all belong to her son, we all belong to her, and that means that the relationship that I have with my fellow Christians is by itself stronger than the relationship that I might have by nature with my own family. And like any family, that means sometimes we got to work through stuff, but the root of my identity is in my relationship with Christ and nothing else.
Well, that's such potent stuff, and to really realize that. And of course, there's a challenge in that. There's a challenge of conversion of a way of seeing and a way of being. But as you say, that we actually realize the humanity that God has had, and as He calls us to be truly a church Catholic, universal in this way, starting with the continent of America, on the North and South, united together, as St. John Paul commended her to us as our patroness. And again, I don't want to get into, Marian, internecine devotional challenges, Mary the Immaculate Conception, our national patroness, but that these can be harmonized so readily, that these aren't something that, which cultural identification are you going to have there? What is it about this manifestation, the apparition of Mary at Tepeyac and all that's there that is so seismic in its implications? And Father PJ, and then Eren, if you want to weigh in as well.
So I learned,
and we're at the 490th this year. This is the 490th anniversary, right? We're almost to the fifth centenary. Yeah. So
So I learned about Our Lady of Guadalupe growing up. I remember distinctly when the missionary image passed through, and they taught us about her like in, I don't know, probably third or fourth grade or something. But I'll admit, like I grew up in an Irish household, and so like she wasn't the Virgin that was up in our house. So I don't want to say I feel like I experienced it as an outsider, but I know that I can't speak to it in the same kind of visceral way that Eren will be able to. What I would see as the great appeal, at least looking from the outside in, is that because when the Virgin appears, she appears as one of those to whom she's appearing, because she looks like an Aztec princess on purpose. It's like God's declaration of kinship with us. And if God's mother can make herself look like us, feel like us, be like us, it makes the incarnation of her son all the more redolent, all the more apparent. And so that then when we talk about our most basic identity, rooted in our humanity as brothers and sisters, this isn't just like fellow feeling. We're making a declaration of personal identity in God. That when we say we're God's children, this isn't metaphorical, right? That we're making a strong declaration that by grace and faith in Christ Jesus, we belong to God's family, and that makes real demands of us, and it calls us to something more and better than we would have ever had on our own.
And that, the lines of power and everything else kind of dissolve as we all are dignified by Mary, and as we see ourselves reflected in her gaze, and just that beautiful sense that she is one with us. Not all our particular personal qualities, but that diversity plays into a larger solidarity that sisters and brothers in Christ. So Mary's really the kind of mediatrix of that, in such a vivid way. Eren, are there features of the apparition? Are there things about the image that should capture our imaginations and really things that are so significant that speak to you?
When I see the image of Mary,
Eren, I did a number on you here, Eren, as I wasn't paying attention to the clock. We are going to take a quick break, and I'll repeat the question here. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I did not dignify you there.
You're listening to Making It Personal. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahans strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahans, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Savage Power. On behalf of the InterVisions Healthcare family, we wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. At our clinic, birthdays are an important milestone which we celebrate. Since our doors opened in 2011, more than 1,300 at-risk mothers facing an unplanned pregnancy have chosen life. This Christmas season, join us in thanking God for the joyful blessings and the great work He's doing at InterVisions Healthcare. For more information about our clinics in West and South Des Moines, visit ivhcare.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We are back with Eren Muniz and Father PJ McManus.
Thank you for giving me another second chance, Eren. So just features of the image and things that should capture our imagination with spiritual meaning that speak to you or speak to others.
Yes, and I would like to say that even though I grew up, with a Hispanic family, my parents were not a churchgoers, so they were not as active. So I did not learn much as a child. I knew that they were just parents that would take us to church just on occasions, twice a year, for that feast and for the feast of on December or Palm Sunday. So it was just occasions. But I have learned a lot about Our Lady of Guadalupe when the Lord had touched me, when I had a conversion, because I honestly, Bishop, I didn't like Mary as I was growing up. For me, For me, it was just the rosary was boring. Everything with Mary was boring, and
Quick, Kelly, get the holy water here. We can't have this in Iowa Catholic Radio.
And I just want to talk, a little bit of the person that Eren was before, And after I got married, and my 3 kids went through a tough. We had a tough situation in our family, and I don't want to go into details, but there was miracles that did happen, and the miracles that the Lord, that Jesus did back in the days, He's still doing them today in these days, and I can say my child is a miracle. My 3 children are miracles, and God has done something in them that I can't even believe that they have been healed. And the things that have been going on with my family, with them. And then one day when I was in the hospital with my son Freddie, he was there connected and all of that stuff. And I remember I was in a bed here at Mercy, and I was laying down, and I had my little girl right beside me, and we were just there in the bed. And I remember that the moon was like, you can see the light from the moon coming in, and I like put the curtains, like I closed the curtains, and then I like laid down. And I did not know how to pray. I did not know how to say anything, to be honest, not even a Hail Mary, nothing. And I remember it was like 3 a.m, and I saw an image of Mary right there in the window. And I didn't even know who she was. I thought it was just a picture frame that was there. I couldn't even explain you how that happened or how it was. But it was beautiful. And then as I get up in the morning the next day and I look at that, I look back at the window. Well, there wasn't an image there. And wow. I was like, wow, am I going crazy? Like, what happened, And
I'll just break in here, and Eren, as time is beginning to wind down, that particular grace, that private revelation that was given to you, we judge by its fruits always. And, you became a new creation, and it's transformed your family. So we always judge it by its fruits, and tremendous things. So, Father PJ, multiple celebrations going on this weekend. Christ the King's big celebration is on Sunday the 12th at 3:15. St. Anthony's, 7 p.m. Saturday night. The midnight Mass at St. Ambrose Cathedral, Father Fabian Moncada, helping to kind of shepherd that pilgrimage that's going on there. So it'll be a weekend of much festivity and grace for the entire diocese and the community of Des Moines. So thank you both for your time with us today. Kelly.
Yes, this has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and wherever you may be listening on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.